Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a journey. But this isn't your standard vacation itinerary. We are literally tracing the footsteps of the Buddha. We're going to blend ancient spiritual history, archaeology, and some surprisingly modern travel logistics to explore what is known today as the Buddhist Circuit.
Now you might be wondering, how exactly do you physically travel a path that was mapped out over 2.5 millennia ago by Siddhartha Gautama? We're talking about a man whose life completely transformed the spiritual landscape of the world. Millions of people travel to these specific spots in India and Nepal every single year, seeking peace, merit, or simply a deep connection to history. But how exactly is this ancient route laid out for us today?
Well, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the path to enlightenment, the 4 sacred milestones, sites of miracles, ancient architecture and relics, and finally, the modern pilgrimage.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the path to enlightenment.
To really grasp the significance of this circuit, we've got to look to the Buddha himself. See, this isn't just some random collection of tourist stops slapped together by modern travel agencies. Not at all. In the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, the Buddha explicitly told his followers that they could attain merit and a noble rebirth by going on pilgrimage to the specific places where he was born, gained enlightenment, first taught, and ultimately attained nirvana. So from the very beginning, physical travel was deeply intertwined with spiritual discipline.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 sacred milestones. We can actually trace the Buddha's transformation chronologically right across the map. It's essentially his hero's journey. We kick things off in 566 BC in Lumbini, Nepal, where he was born. Then we head down to Bodh Gaya in India for his enlightenment around 531 BC. Next up is Sarnath for his very first sermon in 500 BC. And finally, Kushinagar for his final liberation in 486 BC.
Let's pause at Bodh Gaya for a second, because this place is absolutely crucial. It's widely considered the beating heart of the Buddhist world. Picture this. Over 2.5 millennia ago, after years of grueling austerities, Siddhartha sat in deep meditation under a Bodhi tree right on the banks of the Falgu River. It was here that he cast off the demon Mara, attained supreme insight, and actually became the Buddha. Today, you can still find monks in saffron robes chanting under that serene Bodhi tree, bringing a 2,500-year-old moment right into the present day.
Now, to fully understand the end of his journey, we need to talk about what happened when the Buddha passed away at the age of 80 in Kushinaga. It wasn't just a physical death. In the Buddhist tradition, this is known as Mahaparinirvana. That means the ultimate, final liberation from the endless cycle of rebirth.
And let me tell you, when you visit Kushinagar today, the atmosphere is just incredibly moving. The Mahaparinirvana temple houses this magnificent 20-foot sandstone statue of the dying Buddha, and it dates all the way back to the 5th century AD. He's depicted lying on his right side, totally serene and vacant-faced. It's a place of intense devotion. Thousands of devotees travel from places like Bhutan and China just to touch their heads to its gold-leafed toes to seek blessings.
And that brings us to Section 3, sites of miracles.
So beyond those core 4 milestones, there are these amazing secondary locations that really flesh out the Buddha's long life. Because, his journey wasn't just birth, enlightenment, and passing. He spent decades teaching. In Shravasti, he spent 24 rainy seasons and performed the twin miracle, literally emitting fire and water from his body. Then there's Rajgir, where he famously subdued a charging, angry elephant. Over in Sankisa, that marks the spot where he supposedly descended back to earth from heaven. And Vaishali? Well, it's remarkably reputed to be the world's first democratically elected republic, and it's also where he received a humble offering of honey from a monkey. These sites just add so much incredible wonder and color to the whole circuit.
All right, Section 4, ancient architecture and relics.
As early devotees and powerful emperors wanted to honor these sacred sites, they built some truly incredible monuments. The most iconic of these is the stupa. Basically, a stupa is a massive hemispherical structure built specifically to house holy relics and ashes of the Buddha. A prime example is the Great Stupa at Sanchi. It was actually commissioned by Emperor Ashoka way back in the 3rd century BC. Ashoka was a fearsome warlord who was so horrified by the bloodshed of his own conquests that he converted to Buddhism, and then built thousands of these monuments to spread a religion of peace.
But Ashoka didn't just stop at stupas. He also erected these massive stone pillars. The most famous one is the Ashoka Pillar in Sarnath, which features 4 incredibly detailed Asiatic lions standing back to back. And why does this matter to us today?
Well, because these ancient relics cast a massive cultural shadow over the modern world. Those exact 4 lions are now the official national emblem of India. Plus, the Wheel of Dharma, the Ashoka Chakra, sits dead center on the modern Indian national flag. Talk about lasting impact.
And that leads us perfectly into our final part, Section 5, the modern pilgrimage.
And this brilliantly illustrates a fascinating contrast of time. We've talked about the ancient path, the miracles, and the architecture, but how do you actually do this today? Historically, devoted monks like Foxian walked for years over treacherous mountains, relying purely on alms and practicing strict, austere asceticism just to glimpse these sights. But today, you can literally just book a ticket on the IRC-TC Mahaparinirvan Express. We're talking about an 8-day luxury tourist train equipped with air-conditioned coaches, fine dining restaurants, personal lockers, and, I am not kidding, onboard foot massagers to wind you down after a day of sightseeing.
So, let's break down the actual logistics of this train. The Mahaparinirvan Express offers highly structured packages for its 8-day journey, covering all the major sites across India and Nepal. If you go for AC First Class, which accommodates 96 guests in spacious cabins with showers, you're looking at around $1,368 for the full tour. AC Second Class, which takes 60 guests, runs about $1,144. It is an incredibly efficient, safe, and comfortable way to cover a massive geographic area that used to literally take a lifetime to traverse.
Now, if you're actually planning this trip, here are some rapid-fire travel logistics you need to know. The absolute best time to visit is during the cooler months, so October through March. And because the circuit crosses international borders, you absolutely need visas for both India and Nepal. A double-entry Indian visa is highly recommended here. As for food, you don't have to worry at all. Tour operators provide tailored vegetarian, vegan, and even pure meals without onion or garlic. Plus, there are multilingual expert guides readily available to help unpack this deep history in your native language.
So, we've explored the milestones, the miracles, and yes, the modern-day foot massagers. But I think this leaves us with something a bit deeper to ponder. The Buddha walked this path in search of liberation from worldly attachments, right? Yet today, we retrace those exact same steps surrounded by absolute modern comfort. So, what will you seek on a journey that so perfectly bridges modern luxury and ancient asceticism? Will you go for the history, the culture, or perhaps a little bit of inner peace? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks your curiosity to dive even deeper into the incredible Buddhist circuit.